everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well. Today's video is going to be another review, demo, and swatches all about the new Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. Now this palette, you've probably seen some other videos on and some swatches of it, and it's gotten a lot of controversy on social media and on YouTube, so I thought I would do my own review and show you guys a look on how to use this palette. So before I jump into it, I do want to mention I am filming on a new lens, so let me know if you guys like the quality of this. I know my other lens was a little bit fuzzy looking and I didn't really like the quality, so I am renting this one out for a couple days just to try it out, see how I like it, and I want you guys to give me some feedback on the quality if you guys like this a lot better than my other videos. So let me know down below, because this is a pricey lens and I want to make sure I like it and that you guys like the quality of this as I go forward with YouTube. So I just thought I would mention that before I jump into this, but today's video is again going to be all about this beautiful palette. A lot of you know I was planning on doing an entire video all about the Jouer Skinny Dip collection, which was supposed to be up today, but I got this in the mail yesterday and I wanted to do a video on this very quickly because I know that Ulta is carrying it now and Sephora is having early access, so I want to make sure to get my review out there for you all. I'm very excited that Urban Decay finally released a warm tone palette. I will also do comparisons with all of the other Naked palettes because I have all of them. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on this palette, seeing some swatches as well as a tutorial on how to get this look, then just keep on watching. So I'm gonna go into the review first and then I'll leave the tutorial and demo towards the end if you guys want to see that. I'll also put timestamps down below if you just want to skip over to certain sections. This palette retails for $54. This is the 5th palette in the Naked series from Urban Decay. So the back says, Naked heats up, get lit with 12 all new, can't live without amber hued neutrals, including warm browns, burnt oranges, and rich siennas. From a super smooth red brown matte and a glimmering copper to a deep shifty bronze, this palette has everything you need to create sultry daytime looks, intensely smoky nighttime looks, and everything in between. If you guys know me and you guys know my love for warm tones and bronzes and like reds and oranges, I was all over this. I was so happy they finally came out with the warm palette because the original Naked palette, I got this in high school. This was my first high-end purchase and it is very well loved. This is a really great kind of neutral tone palette, but things warmed up with this one. So the packaging looks like this. It is really nice. So you're gonna take it out like this and then the palette sits in this cardboard box. The only thing I don't really understand it is this packaging. I don't get the lines on it in comparison to like the smoky palette. This one just kind of random to me, but it is really pretty. It's a hard packaging, very similar to the smoky palette, and then you open it up and it has a really nice big mirror, and I really like that this is a functional mirror. It's a really great high quality mirror, so if you want to take this with you to travel, you could definitely do your entire look in this mirror, and it does fold all the way back, so there's no like awkward kind of positioning with it, which I really like also. So here are what the colors inside looks like. It does come with a double-ended brush, which I did use in the tutorial. These colors are absolutely to die for. I love that there is a really great mixture of mattes and shimmers in here as well. Before I go into the swatches and everything, I just want to show you the comparisons between the other palettes if you are curious. So this was the original Naked, like I showed you guys earlier. This is the first one they came out with. Definitely the most neutral toned out of all of them. The next palette is Naked 2. This is probably my least favorite just because I don't really wear cool tones that much. Same number of shadows and everything. All of these also come with a brush. They also came out with a Naked 3, which is the more pinky rosy toned palette. I think this was the least favorite out of like the majority of people just because the shadows are a little bit more muted, which I really like. I think it's really pretty. And then last but not least, we have the Naked Smoky, which is the same packaging as the Naked Heat is in now. This was number 4 that they released, and this is all really smoky shades. I like the packaging of this one a lot better, but these are all really dark shades. As you can see, you can't really get too many great wearable looks with this for daytime, but this is a really great kind of nighttime palette if you do really like smoky grays and purples and things like that. And then of course they have number 5, the Naked Heat, which I'm really again loving this palette. I didn't think I would like it as much just because a lot of the shimmer shades aren't super light in here, because I really love having a really light inner corner and inner lid shade and then kind of like smoked out, which is like a classic eye, and I was really worried about that because again I love that look, but these colors are absolutely beautiful and I really feel like I can create a bunch of different looks with this and also incorporate other shadows from other palettes. This palette does come with 7 matte shades as well as 4 shimmer shades and 1 kind of satiny shade, which is really pretty as like a brow bone highlight. I think the ones that really stand out to me are the matte shades just because I think there's so many great wearable transition shades in here that are going to work on a variety of different skin tones. So you have the lightest one, which is called Chaser and Sauce. These two right here, which I really like, and then they kind of go down and they gotta get warmer and deeper. You totally can achieve so many different looks with this, like the palette says, from daytime to nighttime. I did more of a smoky daytime look, which I wasn't really expecting to do, but I really like how it turned out. All the matte shades in here that I used today on my eyes are really easy to blend out. I had no issues with any harsh lines or anything. They all really pair well together with each other. And again, the shimmer shades in here are absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to be doing some swatches. I just want to show you another up close. Let me show you the brush as well. So this does come with a double-ended brush, just like all the other Naked palettes do. And I did use this today. This is what it looks like. So it has a little bit more of a dense crease brush on this side, and you also have more of a fluffy shaded brush on the other side. I also feel like a majority of the time the brushes that you get in palettes aren't really the best quality, but I can honestly say I still use all the brushes that have come in my other Naked palettes. I do think they're pretty good quality for getting one with a palette, so I definitely wouldn't knock them, and don't throw them away because I do get used out of them. So this was the side that I used today. It is a really nice dense shader brush. I used it for the outer corners of my eyes, and it really did pack on the colors nicely, but it was still able to blend everything out, which I really like. So I really do like the brush. But let me go on to showing you guys some of these swatches. So here are the first 4 swatches, starting with the lightest one. That one's called Ounce. The next one, the really great transition color, is called Chaser. After that we have Sauced, and the darkest one on the bottom with the most pigmented and creamy is called Low Blow. So out of these 4, this one is the satin shade. It has a little bit of a sheen to it and little really fine micro shimmers in there, but it really doesn't come off. This was the most chalky on me. It does have a lot of kick up, but I did find that it applied really nicely. And then you have all of these other matte shades. Here are the next 4 shades. At the top we have Lumbre. The matte shade in this bunch is called He Devil, which is a really beautiful warm terracotta shade. After that we have Dirty Talk, and then the last shade is called Scorched, which is one of my favorites in this palette. It is definitely a multi-dimensional kind of dual chromatic shimmery shade. It's just super unique, and I don't have anything like this in my collection. And then here are the last 4 shades. The top one is called Cayenne. The next one down is called En Fuego, which is probably the most patchy one when you swatch it with your fingers, but it does apply really nicely with a brush on the eyes. The darkest matte shade is called Ashes, and then the last one is called Ember. That's also one of my favorite shades. It's a really rich dark bronze shade with some sparkles in there because it is a metallic finish. But there are the last 4 swatches. So overall, as you can see from the swatches, this palette is not lacking pigmentation. I did see the original swatches of this palette by someone, and they weren't the best looking. They definitely could have been better. I think everyone was a little hesitant for this palette, but I can assure you they are super pigmented. They are gorgeous. If you like warm tones, you definitely have to pick up this palette. I do think the standouts for this palette are definitely the matte shades, as well as Scorched and Ember, which are 2 of the darker shimmery shades. They're absolutely gorgeous. I think this is a very versatile palette. You can get a bunch of different looks out of it and create something really smoky again, or something super daytime, but I think this is a winner in my book. The original Naked palette was definitely my favorite one, just because I loved the tones in this, but I do think I'm gonna have a new favorite with the Naked Heat, because you guys know my obsession with warm tones. I wear them almost every day. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I do have a demo and tutorial on this look using the palette, so if you're curious about how I got this and you want to see the palette in action, then just keep on watching. So I have already primed my eyes and set it with a powder. I'm next to go into the palette. So first I'm going to take the NYX number 16 brush. So the first shade I'm going to take is Sauced, which is this one right here. And this is just going to go right into my crease. Going to act as our transition shade. The next color I'm going to take is Cayenne. It is this one right here, and I'm going to use that on a Luxie small taper brush number 231. I'm just going to take a little bit of this and place this in our crease, but a little bit farther down than that first shade. So I'm going to focus this right in the center. I'm also going to bring this from the outer corner all the way into the inner corner. Now I'm going to go into the color En Fuego, which is this really pretty dark maroon color. I'm just going to take the brush that came with the palette. I'm going to take the blender side. I'm going to put this right in the inner corner and blend into my lid. I'm only taking this about 1/3 from the outer corner into the inner corner because we're going to kind of ombre the shimmery shades after this. Now that same brush, I'm going to go into the color Ashes, which is the darkest matte shade in the palette. I'm just going to place a little bit of this over the En Fuego shade, but just focus this right in that outer V. I'm not going to bring it upwards into my crease. This is just for that added depth and definition. For the shimmery colors, I'm gonna go in with Ember, which is the darkest one. This is like a really, really pretty bronzy color. And I'm gonna take that on a Delium Tools 773 brush. And I'm going to place this right on the inner part of my lid and kind of foil this out. I wanna leave the inner corner blank because we're gonna be putting something else there. Now with that same brush, I'm just going to flip it over. I'm going to go into the color Scorched, which is my favorite color in this palette. And I'm just going to place that on the inner third of my eye. So I was going to do a liner, but I think it's kind of smoky enough and I don't think you'd really be able to see the liner. So I'm just going to go off camera and apply some mascara and falsies and I'll be right back. So off camera, I did put on my mascara, lashes, and I also prepped my skin with all of my skincare goodies. So the first thing that I used was my Ole Henriksen Truth Serum. This is a serum that I use during the daytime because it is super, super lightweight. It also gives me a boost of hydration and it makes my skin feel so smooth and kind of brightens my skin because it does have vitamin C in it. So I've really, really been enjoying this. So I apply that all over my skin. And then I also go in with my Clinique Pep Start Hydro Blur Moisturizer. This is also really good to kind of blur everything out as well as keep your skin really hydrated. For primer, I'm going to use the YSL Touche Éclat Blur Primer. I've also been loving this. It is super, super luxurious. I mean, look at all of the really pretty gold flakes in there. It feels really good on the skin. There are oils in this, but I don't feel like it really messes up my skin and makes me more oily than I am. It just gives me so much hydration, but it also really blurs everything and it makes my skin looks so beautiful and airbrushed. For foundation today, I'm gonna go in with an oldie but a goodie. This is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Makeup, and I'm using the color 1 and 2. It is a little bit light for me right now, but I wanted to use it up since I don't have very much left in it. I will be applying this with my Morphe E6 brush. It's just a nice flat top kabuki brush all over my face. So I did quickly go off camera and contour also because I already have a video up on how I contour and highlight. So I will leave that up here if you guys want to go check it out, but I'm just going to move straight onto bronzer. Today I'm going to be using the Becca Sunlit Bronzer in the color Capri Coast, which is so beautiful. And this is on a Morphe R2 brush. So I'm just going to place this right above where I put my contour just to warm up the kind of outer perimeters of my face. Moving on to blush, I wanted something a little bit more warm toned and kind of corally, so I'm going to use the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush in the color Diffused Heat. This is one of my favorite blushes from Hourglass. Just taking a little bit of this, I'm going to be applying this on the apples of my cheeks and pulling it backwards. I'm going to finish off my eyes really quickly before I move on to highlight, so I'm going to go back in with the Naked Heat palette. I'm going to be taking that same Delium Tools brush, number 773. I'm going to go in with Cayenne right here and apply that right underneath my lower lash line, dragging it inward. I'm only going to go in about halfway. Next, I'm going to take the color Ashes, which is that darkest shade, and I'm going to take that on that same brush. And this is just going to go in the outer third of my eye, really, really close to my lash line. I'm going to kind of connect it to the outer wing that we have going on the top. For liner, I'm going to go in with the MAC Teddy Eye Kohl. This is a beautiful, like, warm, shimmery brown. I'm just going to be putting this in my lower lash line, only on the outer part where we put those darker shades because I don't like putting it all across my waterline. It makes my eyes look really small. So I'm just going to be putting it in this outer corner. Before I highlight my face, I'm just going to be using the same highlighter on my eyes as well. This is the J.Cat U Glow Girl Baked Highlighter in the color Crystal Sand. It is absolutely stunning. And I'm just going to be applying this on my inner corners just to kind of waken things up. And then again, I'm going to go in that same color on my Anastasia A23 brush for my face. Last but not least, we have lips. So the lip combo I'm going to do is the NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in the color Sandstorm. So I'm just going to outline my lips with that. And then I'm going to go over it with a Too Faced lipstick in the color Nude Beach. And of course, I have to top it off with a gloss. And this has been my favorite one recently. This is the Marc Jacobs High Shine Lip Gloss in the color Skin Deep. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you all really liked it. Again, make sure you leave me some comments down below on what you think of the new quality of the video, as well as if you are interested in getting this palette yourself and if you've been eyeing it for a while. I definitely think you guys should go run out and get it. If you do like warm tones and you have been a fan of the other Naked palettes, I do think it's a great collector's item as well because, again, I can never have too many neutral palettes, and of course it's warm tones, so I love it even more. But again, I hope you really liked this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I love you all so very much, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!